Verstappen is threatening to leave Red Bull after engine performance leak. Mercedes is scraping its upgrades after a serious issue. And McLaren is preparing for Oscar versus Lando drama. Let's get into the latest F1 news. Imagine a superstar at the heart of a global F1 empire. Now picture that empire wobbling. What happens when the driver who's become synonymous with a team's identity, Max Verstappen, faces whispers of exit? The rumors were rife. Today, Red Bull's new boss has spoken, revealing what the team really thinks about losing its cornerstone. Stay tuned because this could reshape the F1 landscape as we know it. I'm Your Name, and in today's video, we're diving deep into the rumor mill and the truth behind Max Verstappen's rumored exit from Red Bull. We'll crack open the psychology of high-stakes loyalty, the wooden framework of contracts, and how the whispers of a superstar's departure can ignite a team to act or fall apart. Hit subscribe and ring that bell. Every second counts. Red Bull Racing, once a fortress of dominance, is facing one of its toughest seasons yet. Their car has struggled with balance and grip, problems Verstappen has helped paper over with sheer talent and experience. But cracks are showing, and speculators have been quick to throw his name around, especially with Mercedes reportedly eyeing a move and exit clauses potentially ready to trigger. Laurent Mekies, Red Bull's new team principal, stepped into the limelight this weekend and made one thing perfectly clear. Verstappen isn't just another driver. He's central to the team's identity and its bid for resurgence. That's not lip service. That's survival psychology. When your team's identity is stamped with a name, losing it would fracture the brand. Here's where it gets fascinating. Loyalty in elite sport isn't just emotional, it's strategic. Verstappen's experience isn't a luxury, it's a compass when the team is lost in a development tunnel. Mekies emphasizes that Max knows when the car's been working and when it's not, making him essential to turning the ship around. From a cognitive perspective, this aligns with the loss aversion principle. Teams fear losing proven value more than they value new gains. Red Bull isn't just saying they don't want him to leave. They're signaling they'd collapse without him, because they know he's the psychological anchor through chaos. Despite the noise, Verstappen's contract runs until 2028. But the F1 rumor engine churns. Is there a clause that triggers if he slips out of the top 4 or even the top 2 in the standings? Some sources say yes, but conflicting reports cloud the picture. Here's the thing. Contracts in F1 are more than signatures. They're locked away behind the FIA's Contract Recognition Board, which polices duplicates and disputes. Verstappen cannot just walk away, even if he wanted to, without Red Bull's explicit agreement or paying a massive buyout that could run into hundreds of millions. In short, yes, the rumors have legs, but the legal bones beneath them are ironclad. This is a high-stakes chess game, and Red Bull holds most of the pieces. If Verstappen stays, and it looks like he will, Red Bull buys itself time to fix the car and rebuild momentum without losing its psychological anchor. But if he were to leave, it would be seismic. Every team in the paddock, from Mercedes to Aston Martin, would feel the shockwaves. What's clear is that Red Bull is feeling the threat, and not just from the car's performance. Mekies' words were purposeful. He wasn't just dousing rumors, he was protecting a brand that has become inseparable from its driver. In psychological terms, that's identity fusion, where a person's identity and an organization's identity become one. So what's our takeaway? Verstappen's at a crossroads, and so is Red Bull. The rumors may swirl, but the contract and the psychology leans firmly towards stability for now. Will that stability translate to results on track? Only time, and Verstappen's loyalty will tell. Imagine being the most successful driver in your sport and still feeling the system is holding you back. What would you change? Today, Lewis Hamilton lays out an audacious vision for the future of Formula One contracts, pushing not just for speed on the track, but fairness off it. Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion, a Ferrari driver in 2025, and yet, despite his legendary status, he believes the system itself needs an overhaul. It's a powerful shift, not focusing on legacy or lap times, but asking, how can I make this sport better for everyone? In a candid interview with Belgium's RTBF during the Belgian Grand Prix, Hamilton revealed his changed perspective. He says legacy isn't front of mind anymore. There have been so many great drivers, it matters less to me today, he admitted. Instead, he's laser-focused on what he can contribute, concretely. That's a psychological pivot, from ego to empathy. A clever way to humanize one of sport's biggest names and draw the audience in emotionally. Hamilton's wish list? It's revolutionary. First, he points to the restrictive nature of current F1 contracts. Drivers often can't even talk to other teams. That kind of lock-in feels archaic in a sport that's grown from revenues of £700 million to beyond $3 billion, while salaries and crew compensation have not kept pace. Next, Hamilton underscores diversity, or the lack thereof. He calls for more opportunities and better access within the paddock. And he doesn't stop there. Hamilton addresses sustainability. Every race weekend leaves behind wasted food, packaging, and resources. He imagines systems to upcycle, recycle, and even donate excess to food banks. It's not about perfection, just progress. You can tell me to shut up and drive, but that's not me, Hamilton said. That line centers the tension between silence and speaking up. And Hamilton isn't just talking, he's walking it. He reminds us he has access. He can meet prime ministers or presidents, and he intends to use that access for positive change. That contrast between racing and advocacy makes for gripping viewing. Here's the emotional core. Hamilton, a racing legend, acknowledges his privilege and sees a bigger mission. He speaks not as a champion hungry for more accolades, but as a steward who wants the sport to better reflect its values. That's a powerful, aspirational message. Why should the audience care? Because this isn't just about racing. It's about fairness, representation, sustainability, and courage. It invites people to not only love F1 for the speed, but to believe in its potential to do more. Hamilton's voice becomes a catalyst. So, what's next? Will F1 evolve? Will other drivers and teams follow Hamilton's lead? That's where the suspense lies, and where this conversation begins. Do you want Hamilton to reinvent driver contracts? Should food waste at races become a social cause? Let me know in the comments. Imagine this. McLaren has just clinched the Constructors' Championship. The crowd is roaring, the champagne is spraying, and suddenly the friendly smiles between Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris start to fade. What happens next could define the future of both their careers. Jacques Villeneuve believes this moment will reveal their true characters, and it might not be pretty. But why? And what does he know that the rest of us don't? Let's break it down. Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris have, until now, looked like one of Formula One's most harmonious teammate pairings. Both young, both incredibly talented, both willing to praise each other in interviews. McLaren's 2024 resurgence has only amplified that dynamic, turning them into a dream duo for fans and a nightmare for rivals. But here's the thing. F1 history shows that when two talented drivers are competing in the same car, harmony doesn't always last. Villeneuve has seen it before, and according to him, the moment McLaren reaches the very top is when the masks will drop, and the nice guy act will be tested. Sports psychologists call it the scarcity mindset. When resources are limited, in this case, wins, podiums, and championship glory, people instinctively become more protective and competitive. Right now, both drivers are hungry, but there's still room for cooperation because McLaren is chasing others. Once McLaren is the one being chased, the spotlight gets hotter, the stakes get higher, and suddenly your biggest rival is the person sharing your garage. Jacques Villeneuve, a man who's been there himself, predicts this exact scenario. In his words, once they start fighting for wins every weekend, that's when we'll see who they really are. He's not being cynical, he's being realistic. Remember the infamous Rosberg versus Hamilton battles at Mercedes? Or Senna versus Prost at McLaren in the late 80s? All those started with mutual respect, until winning meant beating the guy sitting across from you in the debrief room. For Oscar Piastri, the stakes are massive. He's still early in his career and building a reputation as calm and composed. But winning changes people. The psychology of victory, especially in F1, can shift priorities. Villeneuve suggests that this will be the real test of Piastri's maturity. Will he stay cool under pressure, or will ambition push him into conflict? And remember, he's up against a driver who's already established himself as McLaren's golden boy. For Lando Norris, the dynamic is different. He's been McLaren's star for years. The team has been built around him. But if Piastri starts matching or even beating him in a championship fight, Norris will feel that shift. This is where another psychological principle comes in: status threat. Humans are wired to defend their social standing, especially in competitive environments. If Norris feels his #1 status slipping, we could see a very different side to him. Villeneuve's prediction isn't about if, it's about when. And if McLaren really is on track to fight for championships, the when could be as soon as next season. Imagine it: two equally talented drivers, equal machinery, and a title on the line. Every qualifying session becomes a duel. Every pit stop strategy becomes a chess match. Every tiny team order becomes a potential controversy. Formula One has shown us again and again, when your main rival is your teammate, it gets personal. Lewis Hamilton versus Nico Rosberg, childhood friends turned bitter rivals. Fernando Alonso versus Lewis Hamilton in 2007, a rookie versus champion clash that tore McLaren apart internally. Ayrton Senna versus Alain Prost, legendary teammates who pushed each other to greatness and to the brink. The pattern is clear. Intra-team battles are often more explosive than any fight with a rival team. And let's not forget, we, the fans, will fuel this fire. Social media debates, fan polls, driver popularity contests. Every time one of them outperforms the other, the narrative will spread like wildfire. That creates another psychological pressure point: public perception. Drivers know when the tide of fan opinion is shifting, and it can make every track battle feel even more personal. Of course, this doesn't mean Norris and Piastri are destined to implode. Some driver pairings manage to stay civil even at the top. Think of Bottas supporting Hamilton at Mercedes, or Ricciardo and Verstappen having a mostly friendly rivalry at Red Bull, until, well, you know. If McLaren can manage expectations, give each driver equal opportunities, and keep communication open, they might avoid the worst-case scenario. But Villeneuve clearly believes the danger is real. Here's what's fascinating: the real fight might not even be on track. It could be in the politics of the team. Who gets the latest car upgrades first? Whose side do the engineers naturally favor? Whose strategy calls are prioritized? In Formula One, those small advantages can make all the difference, and drivers know it. That's why the Constructors' Championship moment Villeneuve talks about is so important. It's not just about celebrating the win. It's about the internal shift that happens right after. If you're a McLaren fan, this should be both exciting and a little nerve-wracking. We could be witnessing the start of one of the great modern rivalries in Formula One. Villeneuve's prediction gives us a lens to watch the story unfold. Every interaction between Norris and Piastri will take on new meaning. Was that smile genuine? Was that radio message really as harmless as it sounded? Or is the tension already building beneath the surface? Right now, Norris and Piastri are all smiles and mutual respect, but Villeneuve's warning reminds us that Formula One is the ultimate pressure cooker. And when the heat gets high enough, even the strongest bonds can crack. So, when McLaren finally reaches the top, and that day might be closer than anyone thinks, remember this moment. Remember Villeneuve's words, because that's when we'll truly see what these two drivers are made of. What do you think? Will Norris and Piastri stay friends if McLaren is winning? Or will we see a modern-day Hamilton versus Rosberg all over again? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into the psychology behind F1 rivalries, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Because trust me, the story's just getting started. Mercedes is facing one of its toughest challenges in recent years. But what if this struggle is exactly what they need to come back stronger than ever? Today, we're diving deep into how a bold decision on their rear suspension almost backfired, and why retracing their steps might just be the key to unlocking their next championship-winning car. Imagine this: you're leading the pack, feeling unstoppable. Then, out of nowhere, your own car starts working against you. That's the roller coaster Mercedes has been on this season. But here's the twist: instead of giving up, they're learning, they're adapting, and that could change the entire game for 2026. The 2025 season started with a bang for Mercedes. George Russell scored his first victory in Canada, while his teammate Kimi Antonelli secured a solid podium finish. The W16 was looking like a real contender. But then, things took a turn. Between races like Imola and Hungary, Mercedes' performance began to wobble. Drivers reported the car felt unstable, especially when entering corners. Russell even described it as feeling like a forklift truck, bulky and hard to handle, far from the precise machine they needed. So what went wrong? The answer lies in the new rear suspension Mercedes introduced this year. It was designed to boost performance, but instead it brought unpredictability. The car became harder to control, costing them valuable speed and confidence. Bradley Lord, a key member of the Mercedes team, explained that their season was basically split in two. One half where the car was solid and competitive, and another where the new suspension caused unexpected problems. The key word here is unintended consequences, a reminder that in F1, even the smallest changes can have massive ripple effects. Faced with these challenges, Mercedes made a bold choice. Rather than pushing forward with the new setup, they decided to backtrack. At the Hungarian Grand Prix, they reverted to an older, more reliable suspension design, and the results were immediate. George Russell fought his way to the podium, Mercedes' best finish since their early season success in Canada. This wasn't just about fixing technical issues, it was about restoring the team's belief in their car and their strategy. Mercedes isn't simply trying to patch up a problem, they're recalibrating their entire approach. By stepping back and learning from their mistakes, they're building a stronger foundation for the critical 2026 season ahead. As Lord put it, retracing their steps gives the team a measure of belief. It's a powerful mindset. Success isn't about never failing, it's about understanding your failures and using them to get better. Looking ahead, the stakes couldn't be higher. The 2026 regulation changes are set to shake up the entire sport. Mercedes knows this season's lessons could be the catalyst for designing their next championship-winning car. Will this strategic backtrack be the turning point that brings Mercedes back to the front of the grid? Only time will tell. But one thing is clear, they're not giving up without a fight. If you want to stay ahead of all the F1 technical insights and team strategies, make sure you hit subscribe and ring the bell. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching. Remember, in Formula One, it's never just about speed. It's about the smartest strategy, the toughest resilience, and the relentless pursuit of perfection.